If you've watched this channel before, it will be of no surprise to you that I'm a huge fan of Lumix cameras. This right here is the Lumix S5ii, and I am filming right now on the original Lumix S5. They are both brilliant cameras, and as we know, they are aimed more towards the video side of things, with some professional features that you don't even get on some higher end cameras and even some cinema cameras. But as well as that, these cameras are brilliant for photography and take great photos. And there's one feature, not just on the S5 series, but on all Lumix cameras that I think gets almost forgotten about. And that is high resolution mode, which is designed to give you even more detail in your photos. The Lumix S5 and S5ii both have a 24 megapixel sensor inside it, but high resolution mode lets you take a 96 megapixel photo. A 96 megapixel photo, that's more than 3 times the amount of detail than you get with just a standard photo from the 24 megapixel sensor. That's insane. That's more than the Sony a7 IV, which has like 60 megapixels or something like that. I don't really know the technical way in which this works because I'm not very good with things like that, but I think it is to do with the IBIS inside of the camera. When you take a photo, it usually just takes one photo, but in high resolution mode, it takes 8 photos and then stitches them together. And with the IBIS, I think the sensor moves slightly for each shot, and then as a result of that, you have a much more detailed image than you would if you just took a standard single photo. It's really easy to do as well. If you have a Lumix S5ii or S5ii, all you need to do is flick the dial on the left around to the high resolution switch just after the high burst mode, and you can also access it through the menu as well, which is in the first camera menu and then high resolution in the menu. You can then choose your picture quality inside the menu, so you can choose between RAW and JPEG. The shutter delay is important. I usually leave this around about 2 seconds so that you have enough time to press the shutter and then stop any wobble on your tripod. And motion blur processing, I leave this on mode 1, as I don't really use this mode when I have moving subjects, because it is taking 8 photos and then stitching them together, you get some really weird motion effects. It is best used on static things, so it's great for things like product photography. Mode 2 will try and minimize some of the motion. If there is any motion, maybe you're taking a photo of a tree and the leaves are moving slightly, it will try and reduce the movement in the leaves, for example. And it's as easy as that. All you then need to do is hit the shutter button and it will take 8 photos and stitch them together into one high resolution photo. And then you can literally, on your SD card, drag that file into Lightroom or whatever editing software you use and edit away to your heart's content. So I'm going to jump over into Lightroom now and have a look at a high resolution mode photo compared to just a standard photo. So I've been messing around and already taken a few photos and dropped them into Lightroom, giving them a quick edit, and I have them side by side here. And one of these is just a standard 24 megapixel photo like you would normally take, and one is shot in high resolution mode. I have them side by side. You can't really tell which is which. Bear in mind, these were both shot at exactly the same time, same position on the tripod, and I've given them the same quick edit as well, using a couple of my own presets, which will actually be available to purchase very soon. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. Full versions, they look very similar. It's hard to tell which is which until we go into all of the info about these photos. And you can see this one on the left is 28.9 megabytes, and this one on the right is 110 megabytes. So this one on the right was shot in high resolution mode. When you actually start to zoom in, this is when you start to notice the difference between a standard 24 megapixel photo and a photo shot in high res mode. You can see that we're slowly starting to be able to view the pixels. If you look at the Pentax logo, start to see it pixelating. If we then do the same on the high res mode, you can see how much smoother it is already. Look at the N here, it looks quite pixely. Look at the N here, it is a lot smoother. So you can see just how much more detail there is in that high res photo. And if we keep on going, there's so much more information in that high res mode photo. Only issue I've started to notice when I'm shooting in high res mode is the colors. We're starting to get a lot more like fringing around the edges. So here we don't really get any of it. You can see on the high res mode photo that there is actually a a lot more like of a greeny bluey colour. Can just go down the fringe on inside Lightroom and find your colour and get rid of it like that. So I think around about there gets rid of most of it, and that is as easy as it is to get rid of fringing. Just something to be aware of if you are shooting in high res mode. But then you zoom back out on both of them, you'd never know really. So there are benefits to shooting in high res mode, but if you're just going to be taking standard photos to stick on social media, you're not really going to need high resolution mode. Where you are going to need high resolution mode is if you wanted to be able to crop this photo quite a lot, or if you wanted to blow it up even bigger than you would be able to a standard 24 megapixel photo. So here's another quick example, shot exactly the same. Can you tell which is which side by side? Probably not, until again we go into the information and you can see the one on the right is 28.3 meg and the one on the left is 109 meg. So there is a hell of a lot more information in that one on the left. So again, if we go into the text where it says Pentax, this one is actually a lot clearer as to how much more detail there is in that high res photo. So you can see how much smoother it is around the lettering, especially around the curved corners here. The pixels are much smaller than we have on this 24 megapixel photo. And let's just do one more final one. Again, one is 24 megapixels, one is shot in high res mode. Can you tell which is which while you're viewing the whole photo? Again, I doubt it. But if you start to zoom in, even at that point, you can start to just about see how much more information there is in the high res photo. But if we go even further, look how much smoother it is on the high res photo. Again, we've just got a little bit of fringing around the edge of the S there. The colors, I suppose, do look slightly different as well. It's maybe a little bit warmer on the one on the left, which is the 24 megapixel photo. So again, I'm not quite sure why that happens. You can adjust that in Lightroom, so it's not the end of the world. But I really do think that having this high resolution mode available to you for when you need it is a great feature to have, because it does allow you to crop into your photos when you know you might need to, or maybe to really enlarge your photos to a huge scale if that's something that you are interested in doing. And to have that detail for something like a product shoot is really, really useful, because you want to show that product in as much detail as you possibly can. Your camera does need to be on a tripod, so you're avoiding any hand shake. Because it is stitching 8 photos together, it's not going to be able to do that very accurately while you're moving around. And as well as that, you want to be shooting still subjects, as I mentioned earlier on, because again it is stitching 8 photos together, you'll get some weird motion in your photos. The other thing to be aware of is, as I've just shown inside of Lightroom, is the fact that the file sizes are much bigger. Now that is a good thing, because it means there's much more data to be able to edit your photo and blow it up and enlarge it to be able to do what you want with it. However, that will have an impact on your storage and your computer that you're using to edit as well. So that is high res mode on Lumix cameras. I think it is a great feature for certain situations. Now again, you're going to be very selective over when you are using it, but when you have that situation, I think it is a very powerful feature to have available to you. Let me know your thoughts on high res mode. Do you use it? I put a poll out on Instagram earlier. Some people haven't even heard of it, which kind of surprised me. I think it is a great feature that should be used and spoken about more. So let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video.